Welcome back to Radar Toad Transmissions. Please like, share, and subscribe if you feel led. Today we're going to talk about the returning light, a shared pattern across traditions. Across the great spiritual traditions of the world, a remarkable pattern appears. Though the languages differ and the cultures are separated by vast distances, each tradition speaks of a time when humanity forgets its spiritual center and a teacher or guiding presence arises to restore it. In Christianity, the expectation centers on the return of Christ. In Islamic traditions, there is the coming of the Mahdi, a guided leader who restores justice and provides the world for renewal. And prepares the world for renewal. Buddhism speaks of Maitreya, the future Buddha who appears when the teachings of enlightenment have been forgotten. And in Hinduism, the final avatar of Vishnu, Kalki, appears at the end of the age of darkness to restore Dharma and begin a new cycle of harmony. At first glance, these figures appear different. A couple of them ride a white horse, another teaches compassion, another brings justice, another restores the path of enlightenment. When we look deeper, the underlying pattern becomes clear. Each tradition describes the same sequence. First, humanity enters a period of confusion or decline. Truth becomes obscured. Power replaces wisdom, and spiritual teachings lose their original clarity. Second, a renewing force appears. The force may be described as a teacher, a king, a Buddha, or an avatar, but the role is always the same: to remind humanity of the deeper truth that has been forgotten. Third, a new era begins. The world is not simply destroyed or replaced, it is renewed. The original wisdom is restored, and humanity is invited to awaken again. When we compare the symbols used in these traditions, we begin to see a shared language. Water often appears first. Water symbolizes life, awareness, and the stirring of consciousness. In the teachings of Jesus, this appears as the living water that flows from the heart. In Buddhist imagery, water represents purity and clarity of mind. And in astrological symbol of Aquarius, the water avatar pours knowledge out for all humanity. Water represents the awakening of awareness. Next comes the horse. Across cultures, the horse symbolizes movement and power. The white horse appears in the book of Revelation, where Jesus Christ rides forth in triumph. In Hindu tradition, Kalki rides a white horse at the end of the Kali Yuga. In Greek mythology, Pegasus carries heroes upwards towards the divine. The horse represents awakened consciousness in motion. It is a stage where insight becomes action, where spiritual awareness begins to transform the world. Finally comes the sword. The sword is not simply a weapon, it is the symbol of truth and discernment. In the book of Revelations, the sword emerges from the mouth of Jesus, representing the power of truth spoken clearly. In Buddhism, the Bodhisattva Majesty, sorry I slaughtered that, wields the sword of wisdom that cuts through illusion. In many traditions, the sword separates truth from falsehood and clarity from confusion. The sword represents realization, the ability to see clearly and speak truth without fear. When these truths are placed together, They form a simple but powerful progression. Water awakens consciousness. The horse carries that awakening forward into action. The sword cuts through illusion and restores truth. Seen this way, the returning teacher described in the world's traditions may not only represent a single person appearing at the end of the time, instead, it may symbolize a transformation that unfolds within humanity itself. When awareness spreads like water, when consciousness moves forward like the rider on the white horse, and when truth cuts through every illusion like a sword, a new age naturally begins. The ancient text describes this moment in mythic language because myth is the language of the soul. It speaks through image and archetypes rather than through simple historical explanation. Whether called Christ, Mahdi, Maitreya, or Kalki, the renewing presence always points to the same deeper message that humanity is capable of remembering its divine nature and restoring harmony in the world. The traditions do not contradict one another as much as they echo each other. There are four voices describing the same horizon, and the invitation within them is the same, not merely to wait for the return of a Savior, but to awaken the light that these teachers revealed. When that awakening spreads widely enough, the age changes, not because the heavens force it, but because humanity finally remembers who it is. Thank you. Have a good day.